Okay, guys, so we are starting social studies. We have been in this new unit for several days now, and I just want to take just a few minutes to review. So, on Monday, who did we learn about on Monday, Alex?
I think we learned about Susan B. Anthony.
Susan B. Anthony. And what was Susan B. Anthony famous for, Barrett?
Women's right to vote.
Women's right to vote. Yes, that was one of the things. Anyone else? Caden.
She was famous for standing up for women and getting the same pay as men.
Okay. Caden, do you have anything else?
Suffrage.
Okay, women's suffrage. Who did we learn about on Tuesday? Justin. It was a man. Okay. Barrett.
Henry Stanton.
No. We learned a little bit about him yesterday. Who do we learn about on Tuesday, though?
Martin Luther
Titan.
It's from something.
Yeah, Frederick Douglass. And what was Frederick Douglass known for in history? How did he make an impact and leave his mark on history? Brooklyn.
He escaped from slavery.
Okay, he did escape from slavery. What else, Justin?
He got slavery. He went north where slavery wasn't allowed.
Okay, he did go up north because why? Slavery was not as common. The people in the north, they didn't like slavery. They didn't agree with slavery. But what else? Cody.
He was an abolitionist.
An abolitionist.
Yeah, an abolitionist, and he fought against slavery and freed the people who was slaves.
Right.
And he also wrote a book about his slave.
Okay. And what does it mean to be an abolitionist, Ethan?
It means to stop.
Okay. We talked. What?
It means to stop like slavery.
Okay. It means that you disagree with slavery. You want to put an end to slavery. We talked about a young lady yesterday. She was very important to history too. Does anyone remember who we talked about yesterday? We did a web quest over this lady and we read a book about her. Yes, Naomi? You need some help? Brianna?
Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
We learned about Elizabeth Cady Stanton. And can anyone tell me what she is known for? Barrett.
Women's right to vote.
Yes, women's right to vote. And she married Henry Stanton, and what is he known for? Brooklyn. Oh, you were. You weren't there yesterday.
The right to slavery.
I'm going to call on someone who raises their hand, Casey.
He was one of the person that was against slavery.
Okay, so he was against slavery. He was an abolitionist. Titan, do you have a question?
No.
Does it pertain? What do you have? Is it a comment?
Yes.
Does it pertain to the lesson?
Yes.
Okay.
Y'all also forgot that Frederick Douglass was the first person to the first slave to ever meet George Washington.
He was.
It was Abraham Lincoln.
It was Abraham Lincoln. He was the first. I think he was the first African American to come into the White House and meet Abraham Lincoln. You have a great memory. That's really great. Good job.
And we found out that Frederick Douglass found out that black men wasn't getting paid enough like white men was.
Yeah, you're right, because they were recruiting people for the war, and he found out that the people who had different colored skin were not getting paid as much as people with white skin, and that's very unfair. But I do want to highlight what is something that all three of these people that we have learned about so far have in common. What does then all three of them have in common? Brianna.
They all wanted to be the voting. They all wanted to vote.
Okay, so part of it had to do with voting.
They were all against slavery.
Okay. Ethan?
They all wanted to stop bad things.
Okay. I think that, I want hands down, I want everyone to look up here and listen. I think it all boils down for the rights of every human being to be equal. It's equality, correct?
Right.
Whether it was because the color of your skin or because you're a female and you're a male. I think a lot of times I know it's easy to think like this because I know when I was younger, the boys in my class, they'd make fun of me because they'd say, oh, girls are so much slower than boys. Boys run faster, right? Or they would say, oh, the boys throw harder, in dodgeball. And I know for the longest time, all the guys thought that they were better athletes than the girls. But then I remember there's this one girl, and I will never forget her name. Her name's Haley Hickson, okay? And I remember in the 4th grade, she ran this little race that we had, and she won. And all, the team captains, she was always the first pick, right? And she would come before, any of the guy athletes. They always wanted to pick Haley because Haley was fast, she was strong, she was an athlete, right? And so that kind of shows us the equality. There is no difference. We're all equal. Some people have different talents and different strengths. And so I want you to think about that in your own life. We're all equal and we all deserve the same rights. And there's not anyone in here that is better than another. So today we are going to learn about someone else, okay, who made an impact on history. And it's Sojourner Truth. So I'm going to play a video. I want everyone to shift and look at the screen.
Yes.
In history, standing up and being a leader wasn't always easy, especially for a woman named Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth was an abolitionist and women's rights activist who stood up for women and African Americans to be treated as equal. Now, starting off, Sojourner Truth was born in 1797 in the state of New York. Now, the entire time, I've been calling her Sojourner Truth, but that was not her name at birth. Sojourner Truth's real name at birth was Isabella Baumfree. Her parents were Elizabeth and James Baumfree, and like many African Americans during this time in history, they were slaves. She had a big family with 12 siblings, but Sojourner was eventually sold to Johnny Lee at the age of 9 for $100 and a herd of sheep. For Sojourner, learning was hard. Sojourner had it really tough with the family she was sold to, and as a child, she only spoke Dutch, and the family that owned her spoke English. She learned to speak English quickly because she was severely beaten when she didn't understand what the family was saying. After living with that family, she was sold several times. Later, Sojourner was forced to marry an older slave named Thomas, and they had 4 children, Peter, James, Elizabeth, and Sophia. This is where her last owner promised Sojourner freedom, but broke his promise. After finding out that her master would not keep his promise, she had to do something. One morning, she got up and ran away with her daughter. After running away, her master eventually found her. But lucky for Sojourner, a family took her in and paid the master to let her stay with them. Sometime after that, Sojourner Truth had a life-changing religious experience while living with the bandwagoning family. Soon after, she became an amazing traveling preacher. This is where she began traveling, standing up for slaves and women's rights. Sojourner died on November 26, 1883 in Battle Creek, Michigan, at the age of 86. Her life and legacy will always shine bright as she is remembered for standing up for the truth and traveling abroad to spread it. I hope you enjoyed these fun facts about Sojourner Truth. Enjoy these fun facts about
Okay. So, who can tell me a little about little bit about Sojourner Truth based off just what we learned from the video. Based on what we learned from the video. Alex.
That she can only speak Dutch when she was a child.
Okay. Grayson?
She was sold for $100 and her cheap.
Okay. What was important about her? What was her role? Barrett.
Against slavery.
Okay, she was an abolitionist.
She died in
November, right? Okay. She also was an advocate for women's rights, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I just handed you a little packet, and we're going to go into more detail about Sojourner Truth. So let's begin. I'm just going to read. You're going to follow along. Sojourner Truth was born as Isabella Bonfrey sometime around 1797 in New York. So is that her real name, Sojourner Truth? No. Her real name is what? Isabella. Her exact birth date isn't known. Born into slavery, Sojourner escaped to freedom in 1826. Now, we learned in the video that she escaped with freedom, but who did she have with her that we knew from the video? Ethan.
Brother.
Casey?
Daughter.
Her daughter. She had her daughter. On June 1st, 1843, Isabella changed her name to Sojourner Truth. It was also at this time that Sojourner dedicated her life to fighting against slavery. In 1844, Sojourner joined an organization founded by abolitionists called the Northampton Association of Education and Industry in Massachusetts. This organization not only fought against slavery, but it also advocated for women's rights. This was the beginning of Sojourner's career as an activist. In 1850, William Lloyd Garrison published a biography. What's a biography?
A book.
Jack?
Something that talks about their life.
Okay, it's a book that that tells about their life. What would it be if that person wrote a biography? What would it be called if Sojourner Truth wrote her own biography, Brooklyn? It'd be an autobiography. Auto meaning self. We learned that in English. Let's see. Also during that year, Sojourner presented at the National Women's Rights Convention, the first of many speeches. Sojourner then began traveling the country, speaking to many along the way. So we turn to page, Ethan. In May of 1851, Sojourner delivered the famous speech, "Ain't I a Woman?" at the Ohio Women's Rights Convention. After this speech, Sojourner continued to fight for equal rights for all women. Some people thought Sojourner's ideas were too radical, but that did not keep her from sharing her opinion. During the Civil War, Sojourner worked to encourage African Americans to join the Union Army. She even met the President, Abraham Lincoln, to share her anti-slavery ideas. Sojourner continued to speak passionately about her ideas and opinions. She traveled the country until her old age kept her at home in Battle Creek, Michigan. It was there at her home that Sojourner passed away on November 26, 1883. Justin, remember that? Sojourner is most remembered for her opinions on the anti-slavery movement and for women's rights. During a time when women and African Americans were not treated equal, Sojourner was brave to speak out for what was right. Now, it did say that she worked during the Civil War to encourage African Americans to fight for the Union Army. What was the Union Army? We haven't really gotten into the Civil War yet. So can anyone tell me what the Union Army was? What do you think, Casey? Okay, part of the United States. Cody?
It was an army that fought for freedom, women's right to vote.
Freedom for what, though? What do you think, Jack?
For no slavery.
Freedom from slavery? Yes, okay. So, we haven't really started talking about the Civil War. I think that's what's going to be going on next. In like our next social studies unit. The Civil War is my favorite part of history. I love it. The Civil War was fought between the North and the South. And what do you think the Union Army was? The Union Army was the army that was fighting against slavery. So would it be the North or the South?
North.
Okay, so yes, the Union Army was made up of Northerners. And those Northerners were fighting for the rights of African American slaves. So that's just a little background on the Civil War. I can't wait for y'all to be able to learn it. I don't think I'll be here when y'all are learning about the Civil War, but it's the best part of social studies, in my opinion. So many things happen. I love it. And also, about the Union, what was going on was it's called the Union because the North was wanting to unify. What do you think that means? Come together as a country with the South, and the South didn't want to. The South wanted to secede. Do you know what that means? They said, oh, we'll just back off. We'll be our own little place. We'll be our own little place, and we can have slaves, and you can just do whatever you want. And so they're called the Union Army because they wanted to unify. They wanted to come together, and they wanted no one to have slaves because they believed it was wrong, and it was wrong. So, comprehension questions. Turn to this page. We're going to do these together today.
Yay.
Yeah. Yes, sir?
The person we're learning about now and Franklin Douglas, they have one thing in common.
What?
Wait, no, two things. They both know about the army that Franklin Douglas made because the people we're learning about was helping them. But they both seen Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, they did. That's a great, look at that comparison. They both saw Abraham Lincoln. That's really good. So what was Sojourner Truth's real name? What was her real name? Caden? Isabella. So y'all can write that down. Isabella.
I thought we had to write one.
Yeah. Guys, I don't want to hear you say, how do you spell? It's on there. Okay, when you are done with that, look up. What did Sojourner Truth dedicate her life to doing? Number 2. What did she dedicate her life to doing? What was her role, Casey?
To stop slavery.
Okay, so fight against slavery. What was the second one? Something that she shares a similarity with Elizabeth Cady Stanton. What was the second one? Women's rights. She fought for women's rights and slavery. Against slavery. Okay, when you are done with that, I want you to put your thumb on your head.
And
okay. Let's see all the thumbs on all the heads. Okay, we have a couple more.
this is hurting. I cannot see the screen.
Okay. What was the name of the organization that Sojourner joined? What was the organization that she joined? Someone I haven't called on. Grayson.
Association of Education.
Okay, yes, the Northampton Association of Education. Alex, are you writing these down?
Association.
Association of Education. Okay, when you are done with that, I just want you to look up.
I'm looking.
Alex, are you done? You're not. Number 4. Who published a biography of Sojourner's life? Who was it? Marley. Who published a biography about her life? William Lloyd Garrison.
William Lloyd.
Yeah.
That's hard to say. I don't know. It's almost like a tongue twister.
William Lloyd Garrison. Okay, when you're done, I want you to put your finger on your nose. Hey guys, listen. We only have 4 more questions left. We can get through these and we'll have recess. Moving on, number 5. What was the name of Sojourner's famous speech? What was the name of her famous speech? Brooklyn. Ain't I a woman? Ain't I a woman? Yes.
Parentheses. Parentheses. Unique quotation has to be in
Okay, when you're done, I want you to wave at me. Branson, are you done? Okay, awesome. Moving on. What did Sojourner do during the Civil War? What did she do? I really emphasized this. Kaylin.
She worked to encourage African and Americans to join the Union Army.
Mm-hmm. So she worked to encourage the African Americans to join the Union Army. And she also met with Abraham Lincoln to share her ideas. I should see everyone writing.
What was it?
She encouraged all African Americans to join the Union Army and fight for the cause. And she also met with Abraham Lincoln, the president, to share her ideas. You don't just paraphrase, summarize. Okay, when you're done, I want you to pat your head and rub your tummy.
Sorry, it's hard for me to do that. I can't. I just pat my head. Can I do this count? Because I can't really do it too well. Both my hands are
Okay, I still have 2 more people who are writing.
Is this okay?
Okay, next. Number 6. When did Sojourner Truth pass away?
Number 83.
I'm at 7, sorry, number 7. Grayson?
November 26, 1888.
I should have asked Justin. November 26, 1883. November 26, 1883. November 26, 1883.
I thought you said September for now. Like,
Okay, we have one more. This is something that you don't. I'm not going to make I want to hear from you. In your opinion, how did the work of Sojourner Truth impact the United States? So I'm going to call on 3 people. Before I do that, I want you to turn to your partner.
I don't have a partner.
Find one. Turn to your partner. Now I'm going to give you 25 seconds. He's going to join you. I'm going to give you 25 seconds to discuss the impact she made on U.S. history.
I think wait, can we write it down?
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm going to call on 3 different groups, and they're going to share. We are going to listen. We are going to be respectful. Let's see, Grayson and Jack, tell us.
So the United States would stop slavery.
Okay, so she wanted to influence others around her to abolish slavery. 1 second. How about Casey and Titan?
I wouldn't be here right now. All of y'all would, but I wouldn't. I would probably be working on the field right now.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, listen. Titan takes it from a more personal level, because some of Titan's ancestors could have been those who were slaves, and we all agree that that was a terrible idea and it was wrong from the get-go, right, Titan? So I think that's really cool that you're able to relate to that on a more personal, applicable level. That's good. Let's see. Okay, Marley. Okay, so she said Marley and Kaylin agreed that she had an impact on. Ask people who are talking. Is it you? Marley and Kaylin agreed that she had an impact on on slavery and fighting against slavery and women's rights. So that's great. I'm gonna let y'all go to your seats. Y'all were wonderful today, and yeah.
I'm sure I'm doing better.
So I think I'm gonna stay here with you for a few minutes, 10 minutes, until you get to number 10.